Hey, what's going on, guys? So today we're going to be going over my first experience with N,N-dimethyltryptamine, or DMT. This was back on June 20th, 2019, and it was probably the most intense experience I'll ever have, aside from dying, essentially. Initially, I thought I had a breakthrough, but looking back, I don't think I did. But nevertheless, it was a very magical experience that I'm going to talk all about in this video. So yeah, let's get into it. Alright, so really quick, there's already a ton of information about DMT, what it is, the pharmacology of it, etc. But as a quick summary for those of you who don't know what DMT is, it's basically the strongest psychedelic out there. It's usually derived and extracted from root bark like Mimosa hostilis or Acacia confusa. It's actually the active ingredient in the plant medicine ayahuasca, which has been used for a very long part of human history by a lot of tribes and cultures. While an ayahuasca experience can last several hours, DMT only lasts anywhere from like 5 to 20 minutes, maybe. And when extracted, there's these white or yellow crystals that are vaporized. I'll probably explain more about DMT and other psychedelics in future videos, but for now, let's go over my first experience. Alright, so as I said, this was last summer. It was about 9 or 10 p.m. I just got off work, and my friend texted me and had some DMT he wanted me to try. So I went over to his place. We're sitting in his car, and he whips out a little baggie of DMT crystals. And when he poured it out, he dumped a bunch of it into this little silicone dish. Now, I'm not recommending that anyone consume DMT, but if you do, please don't do that. Measure out your dosages, make sure you know how much you're taking. One of the reasons why this was so intense is because I don't know how much I took. I went into this blind. I heard about DMT, I skimmed 1 or 2 videos about it, and I figured, oh, this is going to be like a half-hour acid trip. And anyone watching who has done DMT will know how stupid that sounds. So he's heating up a nectar collector with a torch. He gets it red hot and he hands it off to me, and I just jabbed it straight into the pile. And it took a very hefty first hit. I held it for about 10 seconds, and when it exhaled, it was a very interesting taste. Some people don't like the taste of DMT. I personally did. But before I took my second hit, I could already feel it kicking in. My heart rate was increasing. And this is because DMT kicks in almost immediately. And by the time I started my second hit, I felt this vibration that was so intense I could not finish the hit, which I should have, by the way. They say a breakthrough takes 3 hits, but I only took maybe 1.5. Most people tap out at that stage and get very reluctant because it can be scary. But honestly, that reluctance is probably a sign you should take all 3. So the first thing I noticed was a very intense body high. It felt as if my body became a human tuning fork. Visually, the car, the tree I saw outside, and everything else looked realer than real, more real than what we currently see every day in this reality. That's the best way I could describe it. The first thought that actually came to me was like simulation. The car sort of looked like a spaceship, and over the next minute or so it felt like I was sort of going to go on a ride. When I turned over to my friend, his skin was covered with either eyes or scales. I couldn't tell which, but that was pretty freaky. But the next thing I know, I see this silhouette behind him, behind the driver's seat, and it was some entity, and I heard it laugh, like an evil laugh, kind of. So I turned back around, I faced forward, and I tilt my head up, and I don't know if my eyes were open or closed, but they felt open, and I was pretty much gone. I felt like I was in an entirely different place than Earth. It's the first time I ever felt anything like that. I remember being very scared because it felt like I was going to die and check out of the planet, never come back, you know. I actually told my friend afterwards that for some reason my brain thought my friend tricked me into dying by taking this foreign substance, and now I'm stuck spending the rest of eternity into this weird hyperspace. I lost all concept of time. Words are very hard to speak. I was literally asking my friend about every minute, hey, how long does this last? Hey, how long does this last? And every time I'd ask him, he'd say, oh, about 15 minutes. And it got to the point where I was asking so much, he just started repeating 15, 15, 15 over and over again. So, yeah, I had no idea where I was, or I didn't have any sense of time, really. But moving on to what I saw, the first thing I saw when I entered this space was this, like, realm, dimension, whatever you want to call it. It had a green hue to everything. Picture the green part of the northern lights. That's sort of what it looked like. There were also some outlines of cubes or lattices. I'm not too sure about that. But the next thing I saw in this place was straight up Buddha. I think that's who it was, because I remember looking up Hindu figures after this was over. I'm pretty sure it was either him or someone closely resembling Buddha. Yeah, it was like all gold. He was floating around in this space, legs crossed, hand up like the statues, and he was staring at me. He never did anything other than just sit there. So I keep floating higher and higher in this space. Buddha floats away, he's gone. I begin to see these humanoid figures or outlines. They had 2 arms and 2 legs, but they were all solid colors. So I saw a solid green and a solid pink, human-like figures just pacing back and forth in my field of vision. And eventually, whatever I saw next can't really be explained verbally. It was a confusing mixture of warping patterns and colors that didn't look like anything specific. One way I try to describe it is like the visual representation of getting smacked in the head with a frying pan. I've also heard it being described as some sort of electron loop or something. But it also felt like I was being rotated. I felt this presence that some other entities were there, but I couldn't see them. It felt like my consciousness was a machine part that fell out of place, and these entities were gathering around me, picking me up and turning me over, flipping me around to try to put me back together, or try to put me back into place. The vibes I got from these entities weren't really hostile. I felt like they were indifferent or slightly surprised, like an, oh, what's he doing here? He's not supposed to be here. Let's help get him back to where he came from. That sort of thing. So after that, I started to drift away from that place, and the real world started fading back into existence, and I could see my friend again, I could see the car again, and the first words that came out of my mouth were, what the fuck just happened? And I felt like I was gone forever. It was only like 20 minutes. And as I'm still trying to process everything, my friend turns to me and goes, dude, your whole body's like vibrating right now. And I pull down the visor mirror, and I look at my face, and my jaw and my hands were still all like shaking and vibrating from that experience. So eventually about half an hour goes by, I felt pretty much back to normal, went home, went to sleep. That's pretty much it. So my main takeaway from this experience is that we know nothing. Humans don't really know anything. I don't think anyone knows for sure what DMT shows us, whether it be an afterlife, an alternate dimension, or just a fabrication of the mind. I want to say that when I was being tossed around by these entities, it felt like they were rewiring my brain a little bit. There's some evidence out there about how psychedelics, like mushrooms, can facilitate neurogenesis and help the brain somewhat reset itself by forming like new neural connections, new healthy connections. So I'm hoping that's one of the things DMT did to me. Another takeaway from this experience is that up until this point, I was one of those crabby hardline atheists, but ever since this, I'm definitely a lot more spiritual. I'm a lot more open to the idea of something beyond this existence, whatever that may be. And I don't know, maybe not everything that's true can be proven with material proof. But anyways, that's all I have for you today. If you made it to the end of the video, give it a like, hit subscribe, but let me know what kinds of videos you want to see from me. This is a new channel. I don't want this to be something I just try out and stop doing. I definitely want to make more content like this. about psychedelics, mental health, or my spiritual beliefs, maybe get into some leftist politics. I'm not too sure. But anyways, if no one has told you today, you are strong, you are capable, you are here for a reason, and I will see you in the next video.